But I believe with some dogs, very common in the bullies and the pitties, you add some pain into the formula, fucking feel on fire, dude. And they get worse and they go crazy, right? And so that's where prong collars and e-collars could get you into some trouble if you don't know what kind of dog you're dealing with, right? So those types of dogs, I'm using a slip lead or a dominant dog collar, right? Something that's gonna be high and tight that I could use to maneuver them that's not gonna cause pain. But I believe with some dogs...
Okay. I'm trying to remember why I even sent this to myself. Okay, so basically what he's referring to is there's some dogs that tools that utilize pain and discomfort ignite the dogs, right? So he was discussing he uses tools like slip bleeds, things like that, right? Which I agree with, right? So we talk a lot about dogs that are really averse to things that cause pain and discomfort, right? So prong collars, e-collars, it is undeniable they are working because they cause pain and discomfort, right?
Yes.
Versus dogs that are really sensitive to being startled or scared by things, right? So it's more of a psychological aversion than it is like a pain and discomfort aversion, right? Those things would be tools like bonkers, tools like pet correctors, loud noises, squirt bottles can kind of fall into this category, stuff like that, which I agree with. Some dogs are more motivated by those types of things, right? Yeah, so he was talking about with a dog like that, you know, he'll use a slip lead, high and tight on the neck, right? And basically the idea with that is, you know, if you're trying to suppress a really aroused behavior, a slip lead, high and tight, is going to literally choke the shit out of the dog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is where you get back to like calling things what they are. I think the reason why I sent it to myself is because this is a guy that if you look at his channel is really outspoken about like these abusive trainers that just use e-collars and prong collars all the time and they're hurting the dogs and this and that, right? And, you know, he's not saying it in this video, but then he just like flat out goes out and says, I want a tool that is just going to choke the shit out of the dog into compliance, right?
Right.
Because obviously, if a dog can't breathe and you're cutting off their oxygen source, their arousal level is inevitably going to come down from that, right?
Yeah.
And he's right. It absolutely does work. But damn, like some of these trainers out there that really like to like sugarcoat the use of certain tools, because he uses prong collars and e-collars, but he's big on the like, you know, it's not really that aversive of a tool. We're using it in this communication way and stuff like that. We get back to like the terminology of the things that we're using in a big part of the dog training world, right? I was talking about with this Patrick guy on his podcast, and we were talking about the same thing we talked about on the last podcast episode, which was when I went out to Connecticut and worked with all these dogs and got all these like great results in like really short periods of time. And a lot of it was because we were teaching people how to punish their dogs effectively. And we were discussing this concept of why is it that there are so few trainers out there that can help owners overcome these issues? And a lot of it is coming from this social media push of trainers talking about sugarcoating the tools because they get public backlash for it, which we're no stranger to. We've caught plenty of it, right?
For sure.
But in the end of the day, whether you're using a prong collar and e-collar, which, you know, used at high levels can be very aversive to dogs, right? Or you're using something that really startles the shit out of a dog, or you're using something that's literally choking the dog into compliance, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of all the same shit still.
Literally.
It's kind of all the same shit still.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I sent that one to myself. I'm kind of reminding myself of these things as we go.
Yeah. It's definitely that. It's the sugar coating thing. Like you're literally, just because I'm saying it's a slip collar and I wouldn't use this. Like you're literally.
Yeah. And even the title of this, it just says pain compliance with dogs. Right? Like almost alluding to like, we don't want dogs to listen to us because they're being compliant because of pain. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where, you know, like, I don't know what you call it, you know, not being able to breathe.
Yeah.
Like probably not something that's that much better than pain compliance.
I couldn't imagine to be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and listen, like I said, I don't really disagree with anything he's saying in this video. There are absolutely dogs that they get ignited by that. It is not a motivating enough punisher for them. You know, they could fight through it, you know, especially dogs in drive. There are a lot of dogs in drive that their pain threshold just goes through the damn roof. You know, that's why you'll see these dogs that get in fights with each other. They will fight and they don't even realize they're injured until well after the fact, you know, like the next day when they're all fucking sore from it. Because in the heat of the moment, they, you know, they're getting torn up by another dog or tearing up another dog. And they just, it doesn't process. No. You know? You got dogs like you literally, like if they're fighting another dog, you could hit them over the head with a 2x4 and